Aren't there going to be lots of new jobs created though? Because when we think about the other revolutions over time, whether it was the industrial revolution or other sort of big technological revolutions,
Yeah,
in the moment we forecasted that everyone was going to lose their jobs, but we couldn't see all the new jobs that were
because
being
there,
created.
because the machines hmm, replaced the human strength at a point in time, and very few places in the West today will have a worker carry things on their back and carry it upstairs. The machine does that work, correct?
Yeah.
Uh, Similarly, AI is going to replace the brain of a human. And when the West, in its interesting virtual colonies that I call it, basically outsourced all labor to the developing nations, what the West publicly said at the time is we're going to be a services economy. We're not interested in making things and stitching things and so let the Indians and Chinese and Bengalis and Vietnamese do that. We're going to do more refined jobs, knowledge workers, we're going to call them. Knowledge workers are people who work with information and click on a keyboard and move a mouse and sit in meetings, and all we produce in the Western societies is what? Blah, 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 words, right? Or designs maybe sometimes, but everything we produce can be produced by an AI. So if I give you an AI tomorrow, where I give you a piece of land, I give the AI a piece of land and I say, here are the parameters of my land, here is its location on Google Maps. Design an architecturally sound villa for me. I care about a lot of light and I need 3 bedrooms. I want my bathrooms to be in white marble, whatever. And the AI produces it like that. How often will you go to an architect and say, right? So what will the architect do? The best of the architects will either use AI to produce that, or you will consult with them and say, hey, I've seen this, and they'll say, it's really pretty, but it wouldn't feel right for the person that you are. Yeah, those jobs will remain, but how many of them will remain? How often do you think, how many more years do you think I will be able to create a book that is smarter than AI? Not many. I will still be able to connect to a human. You're not going to hug an AI when you meet them like you hug me, right? But that's not enough of a job. So why do I say that? Remember, I asked you at the beginning of the podcast to remind me of solutions. Why do I say that? Because there are ideological shifts and concrete actions that need to be taken by governments today. Rather than waiting until COVID is already everywhere and then locking everyone down, governments could have reacted before the first patient, or at least at patient 0, or at least at patient 50. They didn't. What I'm trying to say is there is no doubt that lots of jobs will be lost. There's no doubt that there will be sectors of society where 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% of all developers, all software, all graphic designers, all online marketers, all assistances are going to be out of a job. So are we prepared as a society to do that? Can we tell our governments there is an ideological shift? This is very close to socialism and communism. Okay, and are we ready from a budget point of view, instead of spending $1 trillion a year on arms and explosives and autonomous weapons that will oppress people because we can't feed them? Can we please shift that? I did those numbers. Again, I go back to military spending because it's all around us. $2.71 trillion. 2.4 to 2.7 is the estimate of 2024
How much money we're spending on military?
on military equipment, on things that were going to explode into smoke and death. Extreme poverty worldwide. Extreme poverty is people that are below the poverty line. Extreme poverty everywhere in the world could end for 10 to 12% of that budget. So if we replace our military spending, 10% of that, to go to people who are in extreme poverty, nobody will be poor in the world. Okay, you can end world hunger for less than 4%. Nobody would be hungry in the world. If you take again 10 to 12% universal healthcare, every human being on the planet would have free healthcare for 10 to 12% on what we're spending on war. Now, why do I say this when we're talking about AI? Because that's a simple decision. If we stop fighting, because money itself does not have the same meaning anymore, because the economics of money is going to change, because the entire meaning of capitalism is ending, because there is no more need for labor arbitrage because AI is doing everything. Just with the $2.4 trillion we save in explosives every year, in arms and weapons, just for that, universal health care and extreme poverty, you could actually, one of the calculations is you could end combat climate change meaningfully for 100% of the military budget.
But I'm not even sure it's really about the money. I think money is a measurement stick of power, right?
Exactly. It's printed on demand.
So even in a world where we have superintelligence and money is no longer a problem,
Correct.
I still think power is going to be insatiable for so many people. So there'll still be war because,
there will be more war in my view.
I want the strongest AI. I don't want my...
And I don't want, what Henry Kissinger called them? The eaters.
The eaters.
Yeah. Brutal as that sounds.
What, is that the people at the bottom of the socioeconomic?
That don't produce but consume. So if you had a Henry Kissinger at the helm, and we have so many of them, what would they think?
I don't even know who that is.
Why a very prominent military figure in the US history. Why would we feed 350 million Americans, America will think. But more interestingly, why do we even care about Bangladesh anymore? If we can't make our textiles there, or we don't want to make our textile there.
I imagine throughout human history, if we had podcasts, conversations would have been warning of a dystopia around the corner. When they heard 100%. Of technology and the internet, they would have said, oh, 100%. We're finished. And when the tractor came along, they would have said, oh God, we're finished because we're not going to be able to farm anymore. So is this not just another one of those moments where we couldn't see around the corner, so we forecasted unfortunate things?
You could be. I'm begging that I'm wrong. Okay? I'm just asking if there are scenarios that you think that can provide that. Mustafa Sulaiman you hosted him here.
I did, yeah. He was on the show.
The Coming Wave.
Yeah.
And he speaks about pessimism aversion. Okay? That all of us, people who are supposed to be in technology and business and so on, we're always supposed to, stand on stage and say, the future's going to be amazing. Yeah. This technology I'm building is going to make everything better. One of my posts in Alive was called The Broken Promises. How often did that happen? Okay, how often did social media connect us, and how often did it make us more lonely? How often did mobile phones make us work less? That was the promise. That was the promise. The promise. The early ads of Nokia were people at parties. Is that your experience of mobile phones? And I think the whole idea is we should hope there will be other roles for humanity, by the way. Those roles would resemble the times where we were hunter-gatherers, just a lot more technology and a lot more safety.
Okay, so this sounds good.
Yeah.
This is exciting. So I'm gonna get to go outside more, be with my friends more.
100%.
Fantastic.
And do absolutely nothing.
Well, that doesn't sound fantastic.
No, it does. Be forced to do absolutely nothing. For some people, it's amazing. For you and I, we're going to find the little carpentry project and just do something.
Speak for yourself. People are still going to tune in.
Okay. Correct. Yeah. And people are going to tune in.
Do you think they will? I'm not convinced they will.
And for as long.
Will you guys tune in? Are you guys still going to tune in?
I can let them answer. I believe for as long as you make their life enriched.
But can an AI do that better?
Without the human connection.
Comment below. Are you going to listen to an AI or the Diary of a CEO? Let me know in the comment section below.
Okay. Remember, as incredibly intelligent as you are, Steve, there will be a moment in time where you're going to sound really dumb compared to an AI. And I will sound completely dumb.
Yeah.
The depth of analysis and gold nuggets. I mean, can you imagine two super intelligences deciding to get together and explain string theory to us? They'll do better than any physicist in the world. because they possess the physics knowledge and they also possess social and language knowledge that most deep physicists don't.
I've really gone back and forward on this idea that even in podcasting, that all the podcasts will be AI podcasts, or I've gone back and forward on it. And where I landed at the end of the day was that there'll still be a category of media where you do want lived experience on something.
100%.
For example, like you want to know how the person that you follow and admire dealt with their divorce.
Yeah, or how they're struggling with AI.
For example, yeah, exactly. But I think things like news, there are certain situations where just like straight news and straight facts and maybe a walk through history may be eroded away by AIs. But even in those scenarios, there's something about personality. And again, I hesitate here because I question myself. I'm not in the camp of people that are romantic, by the way. I'm trying to be as orientated towards whatever is true, even if it's against my interests. And I hope people understand that about me. Like, because even in my companies, we experiment with like disrupting me with AI, and some people will be aware of those experiments. I guess
there will be a mix of all. You can't imagine that the world will be completely just AI and completely just podcasters. You'll see a mix of both. You'll see things that they do better, things that we do better.
Yeah.
The message I'm trying to say is we need to prep for that. We need to be ready for that. We need to be ready by, talking to our governments and saying, hey, it looks like I'm a paralegal, and it looks like all paralegals are going to be, financial researchers or analysts or graphic designers or, call center agents. It looks like half of those jobs are being replaced already.
You know who Geoffrey Hinton is?
Oh, Jeffrey, I had him on the documentary as well. I love Jeffrey.
Geoffrey Hinton told me,
trained to be a plumber.
Really?
Yeah.
100% for a while.
And I thought he was joking.
100%.
And so I asked him again, and he looked me dead in the eye and told me that I should train to be a plumber.
100%. So it's funny, huh? Machines replaced labor, but we still had blue collar. Then, the refined jobs became white collar information workers.
What's the refined jobs?
You don't have to really carry heavy stuff or deal with physical work. You sit in an office and sit in meetings all day and blabber, useless shit, and that's your job.
Yeah.
Okay. And those jobs, funny enough, in the reverse of that, because robotics are not ready yet. Okay. And I believe they're not ready because of a stubbornness on the robotics community around making them humanoids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because it takes so much to perfect a human-like action at proper speed. You could, have many more robots that don't look like a human, just like a self-driving car in California. Okay. Mm-hmm. That does already replace drivers. But they're delayed. So the replacement of physical manual labor is going to take 4 to 5 years before it's possible at the quality of the AI replacing mental labor now. And when that happens, it's going to take a long cycle to manufacture enough robots so that they replace all of those jobs. So that cycle will take longer. Blue collar will stay longer.
So I should move into blue collar and shut down my office?
I think you're not the problem.
Okay, good.
Let's put it this way. There are many people that we should care about that are a simple travel agent or an assistant that will see, if not replacement, a reduction in the number of pings they're getting. Simple as that. And someone in ministries of labor around the world needs to sit down and say, what are we going to do about that? What if all taxi drivers and Uber drivers in California get replaced by self-driving cars? Should we start thinking about that now, noticing that the trajectory makes it look like a possibility?
I'm going to go back to this argument, which is what a lot of people will be shouting. Yes, but there will be new jobs. Or...
as I said, other than human connection jobs, name me one.
So I've got 3 assistants, right? Sophie, Lee, and B. And okay, in the near term, there might be, with AI agents, I might not need them to help me book flights anymore. I might not need them to help do scheduling anymore. Or even I've been messing around with this new AI tool that my friend built. And you basically, when me and you're trying to schedule something like this today, I just copy the AI in and it looks at your calendar, looks at mine and schedules it for us. So there might not be scheduling needs, but my dog is sick at the moment. And as I left this morning, I was like, damn, he's like really sick and I've taken him to the vet over and over again. I really need someone to look after him and figure out what's wrong with him. So those kinds of responsibilities of like care.
I don't disagree at all. Again,
And I'm not going to be, I don't know how to say this in a nice way, but my assistants will still have their jobs, but I as a CEO will be asking them to do a different type of work.
Correct. So this is the calculation everyone needs to be aware of. A lot of their current responsibility, whoever you are, if you're a paralegal, if you're whatever, will be handed over. So let me explain it even more accurately. There will be two stages of our interactions with the machines. One is what I call the era of augmented intelligence. So it's human intelligence augmented with AI doing the job. And then the following one is what I call the era of machine mastery. The job is done completely by an AI without a human in the loop. Okay? So in the era of augmented intelligence, your assistances will augment themselves with an AI to either be more productive,
Yeah.
okay, or interestingly, to reduce the number of tasks that they need to do. Correct? Now, the more the number of tasks get reduced, the more they'll have the bandwidth and ability to do tasks like take care of your dog, right? Or tasks that, basically is about meeting your guests or whatever. Human connection,
Yeah.
life connection. But do you think you need 3 for that? Or maybe now that some tasks have been, outsourced to AI, will you need 2? You can easily calculate that from call center agents. So from call center agents, they're not firing everyone, but they're taking the first part of the funnel and giving it to an AI. So instead of having 2,000 agents in a call center, they can now do the job with 1,800. I'm just making that number up. Society needs to think about the 200.
And you're telling me that they won't move into other roles somewhere else?
I am telling you, I don't know what those roles are.
Well,
I think we should all be musicians. We should all be authors. We should all be artists. We should all be entertainers. We should all be comedians. These are roles that will remain. We should all be plumbers for the next 5 to 10 years. Fantastic, okay? But even that requires society to morph. And society is not talking about it. Okay? I had this wonderful interview with friends of mine, Peter Diamandis and some of our friends, and they were saying, the American people are resilient. They're going to be entrepreneurs. I was like, seriously? You're expecting a truck driver that will be replaced by an autonomous truck to become an entrepreneur? Like, please put yourself in the shoes of real people, right? Do you expect a single mother who has 3 jobs to become an entrepreneur? And I'm not saying this is a dystopia. It's a dystopia if humanity manages it badly. Why? Because this could be the utopia itself, where that single mother does not need 3 jobs. Okay? If our society was just enough, that single mother should have never needed 3 jobs. Right? But the problem is our capitalist mindset is labor arbitrage, is that I don't care what she goes through. If you're generous in your assumption, you'd say, because of what I've been given, I've been blessed. Or if you're mean in your assumption, is going to be because she's an eater. I'm a successful businessman. The world is supposed to be fair. I work hard. I make money. We don't care about them.
Are we asking of ourselves here something that is not inherent in the human condition? What I mean by that is the reason why me and you are in my office here, we're on the 4th or 3rd floor of my office in central London. Big office, 25,000 square feet with lights and internet connections and Wi-Fi's and modems and AI teams downstairs. The reason that all of this exists is because something inherent in my ancestors meant that they built and accomplished and grew. And that was like inherent in their DNA. There was something in their DNA that said, we will expand and conquer and accomplish. So they've passed that to us because we're their offspring. And that's why we find ourselves in these skyscrapers.
There is truth to that story. It's not your ancestors. Right?
What is it?
It's the media brainwashing you.
Really?
100%.
But if you look back before times of media, the reason why Homo sapiens were so successful was because they were able to dominate other tribes. Through banding together and communication. They conquered all these other whatever came before Homo sapiens.
Yeah, so the reason humans were successful, in my view, is because they could form a tribe to start. It's not because of our intelligence. I always joke and say Einstein would be eaten in the jungle in 2 minutes, right? The reason why we succeeded is because Einstein could partner with a big guy that protected him while he was working on relativity in the jungle, right? Now, the further than that, so you have to assume that life is a very funny game because it provides, and then it deprives, and then it provides, and then it deprives. And for some of us, in that stage of deprivation, we try to say, okay, let's take the other guys. Let's just go to the other tribe, take what they have. Or for some of us, unfortunately, we tend to believe, okay, you know what, I'm powerful. F the rest of you, I'm just going to be the boss. Now, it's interesting that you position this as the condition of humanity. If you really look at the majority of humans, what do the majority of humans want? Be honest. They want to hug their kids. They want a good meal. They want good sex. They want love. They want, for most humans, don't measure on you and I. Okay? Don't measure by this foolish person that's dedicated the rest of his life to try and warn the world around AI or, solve love and relationships. That's crazy. And I will tell you openly, and you met Hannah, my wonderful wife. It's the biggest title of this year for me is, which of that am I actually responsible for? Which of that should I do without the sense of responsibility? Which of that should I do because I can? Which of that should I ignore completely? But the reality is, most humans, they just want to hug their loved ones. Okay? And if we could give them that without the need to work 60 hours a week, they would take that for sure. Okay? And you and I will think, but life will be very boring. To them, life will be completely fulfilling. Go to Latin America. Go to Latin America and see the people that go work enough to earn enough to eat today and go dance for the whole night. Go to Africa, where people are sitting literally on, sidewalks in the street and completely full of laughter and joy. We were lied to, the gullible majority, the cheerleaders. We were lied to believe that we need to fit as another gear in that system. But if that system didn't exist, none of us will go wake up in the morning and go like, oh, I want to create it. Totally not. I mean, you've touched on it many times today. We don't need, most people that build those things don't need the money.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.